It is indeed the ascension process that you are now moving through. That is your journey. You are here as a master soul being to move energy through your field in order to transmute all of the lower, denser energies of your being. In the past, as a very linear, mental oriented, and this is because the left side of the brain, which is the mental side, it's actually very linear, very methodical, very physical in a sense, and that's what your life had been up until a certain point. Now, there came a point where your soul wanted to balance your energy field out, because there's the left brain, but there's also the right side of the brain, which is the creative brain, which is the unlimited mind, which is what one would deem as the mind of God, and that is unlimited. And so, in a sense, it's both descension and ascension, what you've been going through. And this is because you're actually moving from simply one frame of thought, one dimensional space, into a multi-dimensional space. And this is where you move more towards the all of you, because you are not simply one aspect of your being. You are not simply the mind. This is now incorporating, and you're moving into the mind-body-soul connection, okay? So yes, when one does go through the ascension process, one releases a lot of who they thought they were, and a lot of the times it's internal, but many a times it's also external, because the external mirrors the internal. So when you release, you begin to release who you thought you were on the internal plane. All of a sudden, the things that you also held dear on the physical plane in relation to that mental aspects also begin to change. They begin to leave, in a sense, and this is where the material begins to leave, and the process therefore begins. But the good news is that there is a time when you will refill yourself back up, but that is from the state of wholeness. That whole entire process is a shift in your consciousness. It's a shift in who you think or thought you were in simply the third dimensional reality. And this is because you're now moving into a fifth dimensional reality. And see, the fifth dimensional reality is based on love. It's based on the heart. That is the entry point into this new reality. And that is where you will regain all that was seemingly lost. And so it's because the heart fulfills. The heart is more, anything done with joy and with love and with passion and with happiness, all that is fulfilling. And it's not to say that the third dimensional way of living, 3D, if you will, it's not to say that that isn't feeling, but a lot of times it's more mental. And mental does not open the gateway for love or for passion or for happiness and so forth. So this is the transformation that you've been moving through, because in order to ascend into your higher state of being, you pass through the portal of the heart. Therefore, everything begins to change, because the heart has a different feel, life and reality. It no longer feels the same. Now you're going through the loss period. You're going through the period that you've been releasing, and this is because in this particular lifetime, you will embody the all of you. This period in time is known as the Ascension. It is known as the Golden Age. It is known as the spiritual awakening, because you are not simply a human being having a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. And so this is where you begin to move as you ascend higher in your consciousness, in your awareness as to what life truly means and matters. That is awakening to the greater version of you. And see, it's your spirit which is on a higher plane, because you exist on many levels of existence. It is your spirit that descends more into your body, but it first needs to clear out the clutter. It's very similar to, you wouldn't get into a mud. You would actually clear and cleanse it before you actually entered into that space. And so it's very similar to when your God self, your God energy descends into your body, and therefore your entire being transforms from simply knowing itself as a human being to revealing itself and knowing itself as a divine being, because you are both human and you are both divine. And this is where everything begins to culminate and move into the center. See, you are moving into the center point, this state of neutrality in a sense, this state of nothingness, but out of nothing everything is born. And as you move to 0 point, after cleansing and purifying and releasing, then you are able to embody the truth of your being, which is the truth of your God source nature. Because you are, in a sense, a master being, simply here to also make a change in the entire consciousness of reality. See, these changes that are taking place within you are simply not only from a personal perspective, but they are also from a global perspective, because, as we've indicated, both a personal and a planetary ascension, there is a lot of light that is being transmitted from source, from the sun, if you will, that is actually helping with this transformation. And and people are awakening to this higher aspect and version of themselves, but many don't really know what that is. And this is all about change. It's about shift in perception and in perspective, and it is about moving towards the greater version of your being. So this is the why as to why things are happening and how things are moving and changing and shifting. And so everyone at one point or another will go through the same process, because it's very similar to dying to the old and rebirthing yourself to the new. You're actually rebirthing yourself. This state that you're in, it's like you're moving through the tunnel in order to get to the other side, but with more unified state and version of your being. So just know that all is indeed well, that all will shift. Currently, at this time, even this year of 2022, this is a major turning point in the ascension, and especially up until very recently, which is in the month of September. The month of September alone had 9 portals. 9 is always an ending, whereas a 1 is always a new beginning. Well, the month of September alone, it being a 9, had 9 portals. And so with that, we mean September 9th, which is a 9. Then September 18th, which is again, 1 plus 8 is 9, another 9 date. And then September 27th, which is another 2 plus 7 is 9, which is another 9 portal. And then there was September 30th, which 9 plus 3 plus 2022, all that broken down also equals 9. So all the 9s were a lot about the death cycle, which is releasing cycle, which is a major turning point. And so that month alone, it was obvious that there was a stronger energy of release. But just know that you are now in a 1 month, which is October. 1 plus 0 is 1. November will be a 2 month, and December will be a 3 month. So you are beginning again. And this is where those who are ready to feel, to actually begin to receive more. If you have actually already done a lot of clearing work within your own being, this is the time of harvest. This is the time where more will be added back unto your being. One will at one point go through this, and this is because those who are ready to ascend to a higher level of their spiritual being will actually move through this process. And some may not even go through this in this lifetime. It may take another lifetime or another lifetime. It's all very individual. But just know that those who have gone before you have actually known this, and so this time right now is a really good time for you to get in touch with your soul, with your spirit. And that can be easily done through meditation, through journaling, through energy work, through spiritual work, and even actually connecting with nature, because this is what true love is all about. This is what true joy is all about. It's the connection. It's the connection with all that is. And see, once you move into that fifth dimensional paradigm, the new structures that are forming on this earth plane, you will begin to see the beauty in all things, because you will be seeing through the eyes of God, which is you. So that is when you will begin to see the beauty and love and joy and happiness. This is why, Spirit, you are a master being. But see, there are certain souls that had agreed to undertake and go through this process in order to help lift and change the vibration and frequency of this very dense planet the way it was. Because on a third dimensional level, which is very, very materialistic, which is very all that is transforming for you to move into the love vibration. And that is where you will be able to access higher emotions. The denser lower emotions are anger, resentment, remorse, envy, jealousy. All those are lower, denser emotions. There's a spectrum and a scale of emotions, and the higher in frequency you go, the more elevated those emotions will be, and therefore you will be able to access joy, love, passion, creativity, euphoria, even nirvana, because these are your God states of emotions. It is far from those lower states. So one other thing that would highly recommend is to do clearing, because that will help release on an energetic level a lot of density that you still may harbor within your being, because you are transforming not only on the physical level, you are also transforming on a spiritual level. And this is why the emotions are shifting and changing. This is why you're going through the spectrum of releasing these old sentiments. And you're feeling sadness, and because you're feeling the sadness of what is dying to the old. And see, a lot of times a human carries with it, through the consciousness from all the many lifetimes that one has lived, it carries with it the denser, more traumatic emotions, because cells have memory, cellular memory, and those cellular memories don't die when one dies. They are carried into the consciousness. The consciousness lives on forever, so your consciousness will live on and on and on. It simply moves into another body when it is time to reincarnate in another body as another being, but it's the same consciousness. Therefore, a lot of times you have memories of the past. You have memories that don't make sense sometimes. But see, at this point in time, you're actually going to be able to get clear, have more clarity, to where you will actually be able to integrate within your being all the versions of you that existed throughout all time, space, and dimension. And this is so that you can be here as one unified source of being, so that you are no longer fragmented in the different dimensions or frequencies. See, because as an example, even in just this one lifetime, when a child goes through a traumatic event or, a very fearful event, that energy gets stored in the body, and many times it doesn't get released right away, because as a child there is no awareness to be able to know that it shouldn't take in the negative emotions into the body. It just does it automatically, because a child does not know what to do with those emotions. And so in this example, your energy field is ready to release or process that denser energy, to transform it, to exchange it for better, more beneficial energy that your soul actually is in alignment with, in joy with. So just know that everything that you are doing, there is nothing that you did wrong. There is nothing that caused this inadvertently. It was part and parcel of the process that you're going through. And so just know that at the end of the tunnel, there is the other side, and this is moving into what is deemed as new earth reality. And it's because it's a completely new, different version of your being, one that is more unified with all things, all aspects of life. So just know that you will actually be able to receive more of that you've been lacking or missing for a very long time. And your gifts, your spiritual gifts, will also be coming back online, because once the cells are cleaned and cleansed from the denser emotions, it actually makes more room for the plasmic light that is doing the transformation, that is causing this transformation, that is causing the biological transformation. And it will actually unlock your true potential from within. It will unlock the stored gifts that are actually in your DNA, because see, all that is intact. You will just be able to access more of who you truly are. And so see, it's very similar to the prodigal son when he goes out into the world and ventures out to see what the world is like, only to return home to its God nature and whole unified being. And this is indeed what you are doing and what is happening for you at this time. It's indeed the ascension process that you are undergoing. So just know that even the bouts of whether they be depression, or whether they be feeling unmotivated or uninspired, or even the lack, all that is not your natural state of being. Your natural state of being is your God nature, which is love, which is wholeness, which is beauty, which is joy. And see, a lot of these, because you're moving into the heart space more, a lot of these, yes, they are what are known as more feminine qualities, but it's because you are bridging your linear brain, which is your methodical mind, which is actually even considered or deemed as the masculine energy, and you are actually bringing together the feminine energy of your being, which is the love and the beauty and the joy and the happiness. All that will indeed unify within your being. See, all human beings have masculine, feminine energies within them, because you are part of the greater whole. It's simply that because of societal norms, a lot of your feelings had been suppressed because of the way of the teachings and so forth. It mentioned cry, mentioned paint, mentioned be creative, but that is who you are. You are made in the image and likeness of the Creator. Therefore, you are a creative being, and the creativity will begin to flow once again, once the obstacles or the blockages that had prevented you from being the greater version of you are released. And those blockages are simply the traumas and the negative thought forms that were created, not simply from this lifetime, but from all lifetimes. As we've indicated, this lifetime, you are unifying all fragments of your being. You're bringing them together and purifying them one at a time in order for you to be whole again. And we're a master being. You've done this before. It is simply a process that you are going through at this point in time, because you are actually one of the individuals who have volunteered to go through this process in order to affect change. And this is change on a global scale, on a global level, because as you purify the global consciousness. Because as we've indicated to you, there's individual consciousness, which is your personal consciousness, and then there's global consciousness, which is consciousness of the collective, of the greater whole, of the people. And so therefore, when you cleanse the consciousness of all. So just know that this is part of the process, that things will be made right, put right side up once again, because in a sense, we've been living in an upside down reality where the mind was valued over the heart. And it's not so much that it shouldn't be valued, it's just that balance is key. It's just that spirit is wanting balance to now come through, because the feminine was very pressed, the feminine energy, the feminine aspects, it wasn't revered as highly as the masculine, go get 'em, success, gotta do, gotta have, all of that energy. It was overpowering. It overpowered and suppressed the feminine energy. And it's simply coming back more into balance. It's not that the masculine energy will go away. It's simply about balance. And there are some feminines that all they were love, and that actually causes an imbalance within their being also, because they didn't have the ability or know-how of how to do in the world because of also upbringing. So it's simply balance. Masculine and feminine energies are coming back into balance once again, because see, it goes back to the cosmos. We're not simply going through a 2,000-year cycle. We're going through a 5,000-year cycle and a 26,000-year cycle, which in a sense is the end of the old reality, and it renews itself. And this is so that the return to heaven on earth can be had. So the other thing we would highly recommend is some meditations, some guided meditations, but we would definitely recommend clearing at this time, because that'll help on an energetic level to help you feel better, to balance your energy and your emotions a little bit more, so that you can return to clarity, return to the state where you are able to access more that does bring joy to you. Okay, so I hope that this has been helpful for you. I bless you, and I thank you for being here today. Namaste.